day I wake up is another blessing. Thankful every second, getting God's protection. I lost connection in the desert, I had no reception. But in that time alone, I probably learned 1,000 lessons. I used my time for introspection and some self-reflection, and analyzed a couple ways to conquer my depression. Everything doesn't happen the way we plan it to, but if we harvest energy, then we can plan it too. So take a look in my eyes, that's where the story.
So this is the Overwatch one? Yeah, this is the Overwatch one. Alright, yeah. With some Overwatch news. Let's get it.
Blizzard's inability to fully realize the potential of Overwatch 2 is freaking legendary at this point. We recently talked about the controversy surrounding the PvE stuff getting scaled down significantly, while story missions are still going to be released through the live service. What people initially thought was going to be the case was that we're going to get this whole standalone package that was supposed to include both story missions and what are called hero missions, which sees individual heroes having skill trees, and you can kind of shape their play style and switch up their abilities or modify them or enhance them. And it was going to be this whole extensive mode that would provide a cooperative element that would make Overwatch appealing to a whole new audience. And for people who already play Overwatch, it could provide a new mode that could also add just a whole lot of replayability to the package. That hero mode, the hero missions, were a big contributor to what people thought would justify the 2 at the end of Overwatch 2. But with that cut, people are struggling to find reasons for why they decided to end Overwatch 1's.
No, real quick, that this is the whole reason why I picked up Overwatch in the first place. Because of the whole PvE thing looked cool as hell. I'm not that big on arena shooters like that, but Overwatch was mad fun, so that had to go for it. But I was waiting for that, but seeing how I was playing, nobody really wanted to play it, just me. PvE got kind of boring real fast, and I was waiting for PvE. Then they hacked it away, and now they're putting it behind a paywall.
Tenure and release this Overwatch 2 instead of just updating Overwatch 1. And all of that was detailed here by Kara Q. Original PvE vision from 2019 is no more. Talent tree scrapped, and there will be no standalone version. Just little bits of PvE, such as mission stories released with each PvP season as part of their live service. Now, that bit about the story missions being a part of the live service is important because the business model of Overwatch 2 is that it's supposed to be a free-to-play experience. The core stuff is supposed to come out for free, while things like the cosmetic microtransactions and the battle pass and stuff like that, the overpriced cosmetic microtransactions, is that stuff's what's paying for the continuation of content releases. Well, it turns out that as far as the story missions go, it's actually being locked behind a paywall. You do have to pay extra to access the story missions, which is an insult, given that not only did the hero missions get completely scrapped, so the PvE stuff is just nowhere near as comprehensive as people expected it to be, but these story missions are being released as part of the live service. It's supposed to contain some pretty substantial content. And despite all of the controversy and all of the backlash and all of the...
So, they didn't really get rid... Well, they got rid of a lot of the stuff we were looking forward to from the story mission, from the PvE. But, basically, they got rid of it, and they're going to make you pay for it anyway? Because this is the part of the game we were supposed to, pay for it, so because it's completed, it being Overwatch 2. Now it's not coming out in its entirety, and y'all still want us, and y'all still making us pay for it, bro? Y'all bugging.
qualms surrounding the business model and the release model of Overwatch 2 and the over marketing of it and all these things, they still have the audacity to charge money for this thing, and people are just not happy. So this is a blog post that details all of this. This was published on June 12, 2023. I'm a little late with this, but Summer Game Fest stuff's kept me busy. But this blog post is titled Introducing Our Most Exciting Season Yet, Overwatch 2.
And then on top of that, it's not like a one purchase type thing. It's every season. You gotta pay the battle. You gotta pay like extra $5 in the battle pass to get the story mission, or else you won't be able to play it. What?
Invasion. And as part of this new season, we're gonna see the release of what Blizzard calls 3 action-packed missions, story missions that take place in Rio de Janeiro, Toronto, and Gothenburg. Massive maps with complex objectives and an in-depth storyline that will guide you along the way. You'll fight against the intensified forces of Null Sector, who will continue to attack until you've completely dismantled them. Stay alert for challenging enemies that haven't been encountered before, such as the powerful artillery and the deadly stalkers. Only time will tell just how substantial these story missions will feel, whether the wait for them will be worth it, whether they'll be enough to justify the 2 in Overwatch 2. It feels like a very unlikely scenario, but who knows? But in the meantime, players who have been purchasing those overpriced microtransactions or who purchased the Watchpoint pack during Overwatch 2's launch, which included a bundle of currencies and skins and whatnot, even they will have to pay $15 for what they call the Overwatch 2 Invasion Bundle, which includes access to the Overwatch 2 Invasion story missions during the season and permanently after. Now, by permanently after, are they talking about $15 for these 3 specific story missions and those will be unlocked forever? Or are they saying that the story missions, both in this season and in future seasons, will be fully accessible? Is the $15 only going to unlock these 3 story missions permanently, or is it...
Come on, bro. You know it's just gonna unlock these, and they're gonna make you pay for more. They're gonna make you pay for more. Like, what?
unlocking just all story missions from here on out permanently? If they are going to continuously charge, $15 or whatever with every new batch of story missions that they release, this is dead in the water. What's the point of calling this a free-to-play experience if you have to pay money to access some of the most pivotal content that you're going to offer, the stuff that's going to supposedly justify the 2 in Overwatch 2? Now, this $15 bundle also comes with 1,000 Overwatch coins, a brand new Sojourn legendary skin, permanent access to Sojourn as a playable hero for new players unlocked upon completing story mission challenges. Now, they put value numbers here. They're saying that the Sojourn legendary skin is $19 value, and the 1,000 Overwatch coins, that's $10 value. Basically trying to present the notion of all this for $15. What a steal. Except it's the folks at Blizzard that set this ridiculous value that should not be the price point of a skin. $20 for a skin is simply way too expensive. The value is self-defined. Blizzard set the conditions for these values, so it's a bit of like a misleading bit of marketing. The skin is $19 in value according to Blizzard, but ask anyone sensible and they'll tell you that skin should be, like max $5 if you really want to call them micro transactions. But yeah, the bundle does come with a few goodies here and there, but some people may not want to spend $15 to get all of this other stuff. They might just want access to the story missions, so why not sell the story missions separately at a much lower cost without this whole bundle situation at like $5 or something to make this easier to swallow? If you're paywalling important content, the story missions that further the narrative of Overwatch, and a big part of the experience is narrative, then this stops being a fully free-to-play experience because it's not free to play the substantial content that's coming out over the course of months and years through these story missions. Various news outlets have reached out to Blizzard to ask if there's any way to access the story missions for free through some kind of gameplay grind, but nope. According to Forbes, a Blizzard spokesperson confirmed that the story missions won't be accessible unless you pay for the bundle. You won't get access to story missions for free at all during the invasion season. You'll still be able to pay for access to them after the season's over. And Forbes aptly had the following take to provide: it's another bad look for Blizzard so soon after news came through that the hero missions, the PvE mode that would include long-term progression for each character, the stuff that people were really looking forward to, are no longer happening. On top of all that, I previously raised the question about how substantial these story missions will be for $15.
Yeah,
well, you're gonna get through them pretty quickly if what The Verge is saying here is to go by, because according to Game Informer, The Verge reports here, the one story mission it's reported played ran about 30 minutes, not including the cutscenes. If all 3 missions are roughly the same length, you're looking at almost 2 hours of story content, but for $15. That's the real crux here. You have to pay $15 to access the story missions. You can't just buy the story missions by itself for a cheaper price. And for that price point, you only get roughly 2 hours worth of content. We're not talking about like a substantial 6 to 10 hours long campaign. We're talking about a bite-sized experience, because the story missions are being drip-fed to us throughout the course of months and years through the live service, which I thought was going to be free to play for substantial content, but nope. I'm starting to think that the $15 is specifically for the invasion story missions, for the invasion season.
Does that include
I feel like with future story missions that are going to have a differently titled season, that's going to be its own separate thing that you're going to have to pay more for to permanently unlock, is how I'm interpreting this. And if that's the case, then this model is dead in the water. I'm not going to continuously spend $15 for every new season for just 2 hours of story content every single time and build up hundreds of dollars worth of expenditures on a game that continues to just not know what it's doing. And you can see right here on social media that the sentiment is shared by many. Here are the details about how you have to pay $15 to access the invasion story missions. And scrolling down, people are like, bro, I thought I paid for this with my Watch Point pack, the $40 pack that Overwatch 2 launched with. Now, the Watch Point pack did not list that you will get access to PvE content for free and whatever, but Blizzard should be able to change their business model if they want, make it up to customers. If they wanted to make purchasers of Watchpoint Pack have access to the PvE at no extra cost, they could. They would if they wanted to, if the higher-ups were reasonable, but this is Blizzard we're talking about, so of course, not even the Watchpoint Pack purchasers will gain access to this. Those folks who spend $40 on that pack will have to spend an extra $15 to gain access to the content that they were actually looking forward to as part of the 2 in Overwatch 2, this experience that was going to justify its sequel status through this story content that has an extra paywall behind it. Many people are baffled, can't believe it, and are just mocking and laughing at the situation. A price, this game is a joke, LMFAO. Okay, I know $15 is cheap, but like what? Why are they even charging for it? Tons of people are echoing this. Here's somebody else. Why are they making you pay? Ain't no way, bro. Scrolling further down, complete the game first, do better. How much to go back to loot boxes? The fact that Blizzard's business model for Overwatch 2 has become so maligned that people are missing frickin' loot boxes tells you everything you need to know about the current status and the current sentiments surrounding the business model of Overwatch 2. The rewards loop felt significantly more forgiving, more reasonable, and more fun in Overwatch 1, despite the fact that that game included gambling. At the very least, it still felt like players had a path to get everything for free. But with Overwatch 2, them going free to play has negatively impacted the rewards loop and the monetization so much that it genuinely feels less fun to play these matches. It feels like there's just less to look forward to as far as rewards are concerned, because so much has to involve you spending money now. People have also been quote tweeting this post and providing their hot takes. I provided my own on Twitter, and you can see that it actually went viral because so many people have similar sentiments surrounding this. Wait, Overwatch 2 is charging for story missions after cutting hero missions? Wasn't the whole point of charging for overpriced cosmetic microtransactions to ensure new content remain free? Additions and people who purchase the Watchpoint Pack don't get access to this? Bruh. Furthermore, here's somebody else, Necro13. You bought Overwatch with real money. Overwatch 2 is announced to exist alongside 1. They actually changed it so you're forced to get Overwatch 2 anyway and scrapped Overwatch 1. Then they promised story missions and PvE. Then the devs said that it's not in their plans when it comes to the hero mission specifically. Then they release the PvE story missions and charge for it. When will you stop defending this? Poor marketing, poor planning that has led to just poor monetization models, poor content release models.
Blizzard, get this shit together, bro.
Yeah, Overwatch 2, man, just man. The squandering of the potential of the IP, because I do love the IP, but the fact that Blizzard's been making such epic missteps and fumbles left and right and hasn't allowed this franchise to grow at the level that it should have been able to grow.
Like,
It's frustrating. There are more folks chiming in by retweeting and saying every decision made by this IP continues to make this age worse and worse. This has garnered a few thousand likes. You've got somebody who is just declaring that the story missions, which again do not include the hero missions now, the PvE is just a shadow of what they initially promised, and it's a part of the live service content release model. All of this should be free, and it's something that many people believe. Tons of likes, tons of views, tons of people agreeing underneath that post. Here's somebody else. This individual makes the case of at least make the first mission free, at least let people try something in regards to story missions. I feel like players should get the first mission for free to figure out if they're actually interested in this. Sucks. Only way to figure out if you want to invest is by watching gameplay from others, or just chuck the $15 in and hope for the best. Again, for a free-to-play experience. At least it's permanent. How is it that we even have to clarify that this is permanent access? Of course, if you buy something, you should have access to it permanently. This shouldn't be a feature that has to be flaunted. That should just be common sense. That should be a given. And again, this specifically states permanent access to specifically the invasion story missions. So it's starting to feel like you're going to have to pay some kind of price point for future story missions at a constant pace. Overwatch 2 just cannot catch a break as far as controversies and backlash goes. They had to deal with things like requirement for all accounts to have a valid phone number. Remember that whole shenanigan that they had to backpedal on? Then it was the launch issues, including the server problems and players of Overwatch 1 not having their cosmetics sync properly into Overwatch 2. Then there's the lack of just general substantial content additions that justify the 2 in Overwatch 2. And when it felt like some form of justification was coming through the PvE content, that stuff was neutered so much that people feel duped about the way Overwatch and Blizzard continuously marketed the hero missions and knew about the fact that they were going to cut it before the game launched and didn't decide to inform people because they wanted to leverage that marketing to get people to purchase content and, you know, the watch point pack and microtransactions for the game before dropping the hard news. The marketing is just so scummy and manipulative and deceptive. It just feels like there's so little consideration when it comes to consumer friendliness here that goodwill is disappearing quickly surrounding the Overwatch IP. There's just one negative PR campaign after another with the way they've been comporting themselves, carrying themselves, and the way they've been handling Overwatch 2. I guess we'll see what happens on this front. We'll see what the quality of the story missions will be like and how people receive those. But for $15, they better be some incredible 2 hours worth of campaign content. And I personally highly doubt that the story missions, while they might be kind of neat, I highly doubt that they'll live up to that $15 cost, and I highly doubt that it'll justify the 2 in Overwatch 2 or make up for the scaling back of the PvE content, the scrapping of the hero missions. That's my prediction, but we'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us. Who am I kidding? Hope is dangerous when it comes to Overwatch 2. Yeah, or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Overwatch 2, the fact that they're charging $15 for these 3 story missions that will apparently roughly be around 2 hours long to complete, and whether you think there's any justification to the way they're charging $15 for this. Share your thoughts on all of this in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
Young out.
Blizzard's inability.
Yeah, man. This is it's a little nutso here. Don't know what they thinking. Do not.
I'm hiding out, wilding out, cooling down, collecting thoughts till I find my route. And if they catch me, they'll be finding out what I'm about. Until then, I'm riding out. I'm hiding out, wilding out, cooling down, collecting thoughts till I find my route. And if they catch me, they'll be finding out what I'm about. Until then, I'm riding out, riding out. Check it out. I'm a desperado, I'm living it in real life. What's next to follow? I hit the bottle.